100%. So when we talk about various things or nutrients, I don't want you to just think of the nutrient and say, just take it. I want you to go upstream and think about the mechanism, because the nutrient being helpful or not, that's downstream, right? The root cause and the mechanism is upstream. So iron's really important. Why? Because iron binds the hemoglobin to help you carry oxygen. Why is oxygen important? Well, because oxygen helps with aerobic metabolism. And part of the reason why, let's say, DHT is harmful for men is because DHT can decrease blood flow to hair follicles. What happens when there's decreased blood flow? Decrease oxygen. So you can see how some of these mechanisms, when you look at iron, low iron, especially in women. Why women? Because women can menstruate, guys don't. When they menstruate, they have their periods, they lose blood there. So if you're estrogen dominant and you're losing a lot of blood, there's another hormonal mechanism. You lose a lot of blood, you have low iron, not enough healthy oxygen carrying capacity, not enough healthy oxygen capacity going to the hair follicle. That's important for healthy hair generation, right? You choke out the hair, you don't give it enough blood flow and oxygen, it's going to die, right? So there's that mechanism. Two is we could be vegan or vegetarian and not getting enough high quality heme based iron. Right? We can't just base it off of, spinach. We actually, even though spinach is high in iron, we need actual animal products to get good quality iron in there. And then number three, there could be a lot of malabsorption. So I see a lot of patients that have a lot of gut inflammation. It could be autoimmune, where there's an irritable bowel disease like Crohn's or ulcerative colitis. It could be something in between, where there's a gluten sensitivity issue or some kind of an IBS or some kind of just low-grade gastritis or gut inflammation, and they're not breaking down the nutrition adequate, and then they're not getting enough of their animal products broken down. So those are the three big mechanisms when it comes to iron.
Yeah. So when we do blood work, we would want to look at a marker called ferritin. It's an iron storage protein. When women start to get down to like a 20 or a 30 with ferritin, number one, there's going to be a lot of hair loss. But number two, these women may complain that they can't catch their breath. Like they'll go up a flight of stairs and they're just like, oh, I can't breathe. Like I can't catch their breath. And that's exactly what you talked about. It's a starvation. You're starving from not enough oxygen. So when we really want to get to optimal hair growth levels, the ferritin's usually going to be somewhere like 90. And I believe it's like NG, nanograms over deciliter, NG over DL. I believe that's the normal reference range. Either way, regardless of whether you're in US or somewhere else that uses a different reference range, you want to be on the upper end of the reference range for ferritin. You don't want to be just at the low end. And a doctor's going to miss that. They may look at ferritin and say 30 is fine, but 30 is not optimal.
Yeah, at least 30, ideally above 40. We may want to look at iron serum to make sure it's more mid-reference range. We also want to look at iron saturation, make sure it's at least 25. We can also look at TIBC and UIBC binding proteins. Those actually go high when iron goes low, so somewhat in the middle. High doesn't mean necessarily good when it comes to those binding proteins because they're kind of on the reverse side. So that's really important. But again, we want to look at the root cause. And vegans and vegetarians definitely are going to have a harder time with that. If it's really important that you be vegan and vegetarian, well, I would advise having some level of protein in there, or animal protein, at least maybe liver capsules if you can wrap your head around doing liver capsules. There's some vegan vegetarian iron sources that are decent. One's called Flora Vital or Floradix. It's a German herbal product that's been around for about 100 years. Flora Vital is the gluten-free source of that. So that's really important that you maintain a vegan status or vegetarian status. That's at least one good option. I always try to at least push for at least the liver capsules. Hey, you're not tasting it. Maybe you can wrap your head around it. So that's a good source right there off the bat.
Good idea.